Hey guys, so now you know how to set up your references and you found your references. We are going to talk a little bit about how to set up your Xgen file, right? Because basically Xgen is a folder-based software, so that means that every time you will create something with Xgen, it's gonna create a docs.ptex.xuv or whatever inside your folders. So the first thing that you will have to do is to create a project by creating here the project window here, and to create your new project. So I already have one, so I don't need to recreate one, but I'm just gonna set my project to this. By setting the project to here, that's gonna mean that every time you will do something, your images, PTEX or whatever you're saving through Xgen will go in the right folders. Now you have this. I wanted also to talk a little bit about what does folder-based mean. So basically Xgen is using PTEX files. So every time you will create something, which can be like a density map, or like you generate your fur or whatever it is, it's gonna generate a PTEX map. PTEX map is like it's a Disney format created to get rid of the UVs, because basically they didn't want it to use UVs anymore, so they were like, hey, let's create something which is based on the faces. So the bigger faces will be, the bigger the resolution will be. But we are going to see this together a bit later when we will start creating our Xgen file. So that means that you don't really need UVs, even if I like to do my UVs, because I like also to paint my density map through Mari into the UVs and then to transfer them to the PTEX model. But once again, it's something we're going to see together a little bit later. I wanted to talk about this because as it's folder based, that means that you have to be very careful of the naming convention that you're using. I will advise you to never use anything else but underscore like this. Don't try to use any fancy like this or like any other characters, you know. Just use underscore if you need it. If you don't use it, like here for example. And basically when you will start your project, you will have to keep this naming convention, right? Because if you don't, that might be a problem, because every time you will create something, your Xgen will call it erscalp.ptex. So if you change this, it's going to take a look at the new name. For example, if I call it now head scalp, Xgen will basically be like, okay, so now my map will be called adscalp.ptex. But as you've created everything with another name, you will need to go inside all your folders and to change the name. So that can be done, but that's just annoying, and that can create many issues that you do not need to have. The second thing is how I set up my Xgen file. So I have here the main head, right, which has been provided for me. I will give you the name of the guy who gave me this head. I just made it symmetrical because it wasn't symmetrical, but for the purpose of the tutorial, I prefer it to be symmetrical. It's gonna be easier for everybody, I guess. So it's just symmetrical. And now there is two different ways to work. The first is you can create your Xgen file here, right? Selecting this, you create your file, and that's done, right? You will have the fur on the whole face, and then you can choose to paint a map to isolate where you want the fur or the hair or whatever you want, or you can even like select the faces and choose to create the new description only on those faces that you've selected. So that's one solution. The other one that you can do is what I'm gonna show you now, is basically just to create what we call some scalps, you know. So you just like take the faces and extract them from the main geo, and after this you will just recreate the fur inside this into those faces, right? So you will grow your hair here and not here, so basically you can even hide this one and start grooming like this. The good thing with this is it's take less memory every time you will do something because there is less faces. So it's also gonna help you to generate some clumping map, for example, which are more precise at the end because it's not looking for the whole face but only for the area that you want. That also can be interesting when the model change, because even if it changes you can still keep this and still have the hair on this part. So that has some good things, and growing on the head directly is also something which is doable, you know. I did it in production sometimes, and that also has issues and good things, but it's kind of up to you. I advise you to start with scalps because I guess it's easier to understand what you're doing. So you're like, oh, I'm doing the beard, so I have my scalp called beard, and it's easy to, you know, like just know where you are. About the UVs, I also like to have my UVs symmetrical. So, for example, this one, like the beard, I try as much as I can to have something which is straight in the middle here, and that I can revert if I want, or that I can duplicate on mirror, you know. Because I'm gonna sometimes, maybe not in that case, but sometimes you will paint like a very complicated map, you know, here, and if it's not symmetrical it starts to become a mess to duplicate, you know. So I took this kind of like this kind of idea to always create my UV symmetrical when I'm doing some fur, even if once again it's PTEX. So you, in theory, you do not need to have some interesting UVs, but you know, as you will probably paint it through Mari, I advise you to spend a little bit more time on the UVs and you're sure that you're safe. If you don't need it, that's fine. If you need it, having them symmetrical will really save your life. About the eyelashes, I could have also maybe combined those mesh. So I could just have one mesh instead of two, and that means just created one description for both of them. But Xgen is kind of like picky with that kind of stuff where there is two meshes which are not connected by any faces. That's why also for the eyebrows I've kept the faces together. I could have deleted those ones, you know, but I keep them because I know that sometimes the PTEX map will be like, hey, what are you doing? Why there is no faces connected, you know? And it can create issues. Also, one other thing which can create issues will be the triangles. Xgen, once again, as it's PTEX based, need to have quadrilaters. So if you do not have quads, it's gonna be very difficult for you because you will probably end up having a lot of issues. So be careful to have only quads on your geometry. Sorry. I'm gonna delete this one and recreate one scalp with you just to show you how I do it, you know. So I'm gonna isolate this one and select this, right? I'm gonna use the sorry. I'm gonna use this, right? Now let's so my symmetry is not working right now. Let's take a look at why. The symmetry with my eye is very annoying sometimes. Well, that's not very important. So let's just like show you how I select my faces. So I basically just do it like this, and I start thinking like, hey, yeah, I remember my haircut, and it's going more or less from here to here, right? So I'm gonna take a little bit more faces. It's not very important to just have the faces that you exactly need, but try to have a bit more faces than what you need exactly, so it's safer, you know, because you never know. Sometimes when it's your project, you know what you want to do, but when it's like for a client or whatever, it can give you a reference, and the day after came back to you, or 3 weeks after came back to you and be like, hey, okay, that's great, but can we try to have a little bit more hair here? And if the scalp is just going exactly to your reference, you'll be like, like that's a mess, you know, I have to recreate a new scalp and to transfer all my maps and everything. So just pick a little bit more faces just to be safe, right? I guess that's a good thing to do every time. So I'm just gonna select here. And once again, it's not like a very big deal to have more faces. I'm just gonna take this one. I don't know if you really see the colors. Even me, I don't really see the orange here, which is kind of annoying. I'm just gonna... yeah, that's better. So you can select the faces like this. I don't really know why the symmetry is not working, but I'm just gonna duplicate it, so that's fine. You know, like here, for example, I know that I have no hairs on the ears, but it didn't really cost me anything to just select those faces, just to be sure that I will be safe later. Let's do this. This part will probably overlap with the beard, but that's not a problem also, because at the end, like, you can create your mask map and be careful that it's not overlapping with the beard. I guess we're more or less fine now. Yeah, I think so. So now I'm just gonna like edit mesh, sorry, and I'm just gonna duplicate this, right? And now you have this, right? So just, okay, I'm gonna, now, there we mirror it. Nice one. And now I have my two pieces here, right? And you just can combine them. And be sure to also merge the vertices. Okay, that's fine, I guess. And I'm gonna show you how I do my UVs. Then I have this 2 UV shell. Doing sorry, I'm trying to. Oh, it's on the other screen. Doing UV is very symmetrical with Maya is not the easiest thing that you can have to do. It's even sometimes kind of annoying because there is no real tools to make them super straight in the middle, and we still are keeping the okay. This is this one and this one. So you know, for example, this is kind of annoying because it's very like not straight at all. So there is different ways to do it. One can be like just taking those faces. Once again, as it's not very, just double checking. Yeah. You can do this, right? Like this. And then you just like select all the other faces and you can unfold them, but as you can see here it's annoying. So one other solution might be to use the optimize tool, which is interesting. That's not the best UV, but at least it's gonna like give you the possibility to just, you know, like use them and mirror them. You can also use the unfold tool here. Yeah, just to give more space. And once again, you can work like this and do whatever you want. I'm not gonna finish the UVs here because that's not the purpose of the course. But yeah, so you have then your UVs like this, and you're gonna remember to call this one or whatever. It can be something else if you prefer. Be careful to delete the history, to have no history, to have no transforms, to have nothing, right? And once you have this, I guess you're more or less ready. I'm also gonna, yeah, I can rename this later, so that's fine. The head, and yeah, I guess we're ready now to start setting up the Xgen. So now we have everything set up. I'm just gonna quickly show you what I did for the UVs of the head. I did this, right, which is symmetrical, which is okay, right? It's just very basic, but anyway, it was just to show you. So now we have this, we are going to go deeper into Xgen, and I'm gonna talk about it, and I'm gonna show you the basics of it. So the first thing will be to go to generate here, or you can even go to the Xgen tab here, right? And you have here. So about those icons here, if you are using 2018, I guess 2017 is the same. You have this first part to this line, which is talking about Xgen legacy, so which is the Xgen that we're going to talk about, and this to here is going to talk about IGS, as you can see here, interactive groom editor, and open the Xgen window. So this Xgen legacy is basically the first Xgen that have been bought by Autodesk, and IGS is the kind of new Xgen they are creating but which is really great in some parts and really bad in some other parts. So I think it's better to learn from legacy, and once you learn legacy, you will be able to switch to IGS if you need it. I'm still working with legacy every time I'm in production because it's better for the pipeline to my point of view, and also it gives me the ability to do everything that I want. So I'm sticking with this one for now, even if you need to understand this one if you are a groomer. So but anyway, we are going to use this one, so you can click here, or you can even go to the generate here, and here you have a way more information about Xgen. But let's start by just creating a new description. Here you can import if you have other description collection, and import preset, but we are going to create the new description. So be sure that you are selecting the scalp that you want, or the faces that you want. But in my case, I'm going to select the hair scalp, right? So I'm just create the new description here. And when you click this, a new tab just open, and you have a couple of informations. So first, you can see that there is a description and the collection. So the collection is basically the big box, and inside this big box you will put smaller box, right? And those smaller box will be descriptions. So for example, if I have my head here, I'm gonna call my collection, human hair, for example, you know, or human fur, or just human maybe. And then my description will be each of my hair. So it's gonna be eyelashes, eyebrows, hair, beard, etc., etc. Peach fuzz. It can be everything that you want, which is gonna be inside the collection. So remember this, just like there is a collection, and inside this collection you have the description. So I'm gonna call this head, and I'm gonna start with her. This is some very basic names. Be careful of the names. Once again, no fancy star. You cannot even put them. I guess you can only put underscore, yeah. So just use as less underscore as you can, but if you definitely need it, you can. And those names, you will be able to rename them, to change them whenever you want. It's not a big deal. You just basically go to the outliner and change it, and it's gonna rename the folder on your Maya. I'm gonna show you this a bit later, just so you know. So here we have different kind of groom. So we have the splines, the groomable splines, which are more used for the animals and very short fur. I guess we are going to see this together when we are doing the animal. Custom geometry archives, spheres, blah blah, cards, which is mostly used for feather or video games purpose. So we are going to use the splines for this one. And here we can choose different, also like randomly uniform or at specified points. We want this to be random. We don't want to have something uniform. And this option here will be, do you want to use expressions to control the attributes, or do you want to place your guides and shape them? And we are going to groom them, so we want to use this. This one is every time you are using this, right? It's going to use grooming tools. So you need this, and here. Once you have this set up, you can create your hair. So you will get a warning just telling you that you not have any guides, and it can preview the fur, but that's fine. So I'm just leave it. It's just a warning. So as you can see here, I have head 1. Why? Because I made a mistake. I already have head here, so it cannot be named the same, right? So I can rename it the head human, which is not working for no reason. So what you can do when you are at this point is going to the folder, your Xgen folder, you know, and you can take a look at Xgen here. It's just created a new Xgen file here. You can go inside, and here you will see your collections. If you go into your collection, you will see this and this, right? So for now we have nothing, but let's just try something. Let's see. I don't know why he doesn't want to let me change the name, because as you can see here, the name is correct. So for the purpose of the tutorial, I'm just gonna like delete this. And it can feel like what I'm doing, but it's something you may have to do. So if you want to delete a description and a collection, you will need to go into your folders and you will need to delete this, right? Because if you don't, when you will create the collection or whatever you're creating, it's gonna just tell you, hey, there is already something called like this. So we'll put the 1 like he did for me for no reason. So I'm just gonna redo it quickly. Let's do this. That's fine. We said we want to pair here and right here. Let's try this again. Yeah, and now it's fine. That was very weird, but anyway, that's the kind of stuff that might happen, and I'm quite happy it happened to me. So if it happens to you, you will now know how to work with this, right? So here you can see that you have the collection, the description, and here the shape. Okay.